Welcome to this week's edition of the Belau Report. I'm Jane Belau. Our guest this week is the president of Rochester Community and Technical College, Dr. Jeffery Boyd. And it's a pleasure to talk with you. And it's such an honor to be able to record this program regularly at RCTC. So we thank you for that.
Well, thank you for the invitation, Jane.
Okay, introduce yourself as you would like the viewers, I was going to say and voters, you can tell that I've been doing a lot, that the viewers can meet you so they know where you've been before you came here.
Well, yeah, hi to the viewers. I'm Jeffery Boyd, new president of Rochester Community and Technical College. I'm very proud and honored to have that designation and to be here. I've come from a lot of places. I always like to start by saying that I am a community college graduate, the first in my family to graduate from college, and started a career in law enforcement, police officer for 9 years. After that 9 years, continued on in school for my associate's degree in criminal justice on to a bachelor's degree in human services. Shortly after that, into education as an academic advisor, then a minority student retention coordinator. And from there, saw that I really liked education, saw that there was opportunity if I continued my education with a master's degree in adult education, minor distance learning, to get to the position of an associate dean and then dean at Elgin Community College in Illinois. And then if I was going to go any further, I realized I had to get a doctorate. So I went as a working adult and got my doctorate in community college leadership from National Louis University in 2010. So from there, looked on, just most previously came from Tidewater Community College in Virginia, a large community college system there where I was a campus provost, ran a campus of about 11,000 students, looked for an opportunity after 4 years there. My end goal was to become a college president. So looked for opportunities and looked at Rochester, saw it a great community with all the things going on here, long history since 1915. Being the oldest community college in Minnesota, saw great partnerships with Mayo Clinic, a great faculty and staff, and just an opportunity. I thought that if I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity, I thought this would be a good place to land in. So here I am.
Welcome. We
Thank
welcome you to the community. You know, you took my second question is, what attracted you to Rochester? What was it the city? Was it the college? It was a combination, was it?
Yeah, well, you know, it said preparation meets opportunity. You have a good match there. So I felt I was prepared, looked at an institution that was looking for, I felt, my style of leadership. I'm big on, I always tell folks that I am not the content expert in many fields. Maybe criminal justice you can say I am, because I have an education in that and also taught criminal justice, was a practitioner for 9 years. But all the other things are really done by the experts in the field, be it the faculty teaching biology, the staff working with students. So I looked at a place where I felt that they just wanted a leader to help lead as far as to empower people to do their jobs, believing that they are the ones that do the work, and what they need in leadership is just someone to, John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And so I really believe that they were looking for, I thought, my style of leadership, and I think so far that's worked out well. I interviewed through several phases, and it was a choice of the faculty and staff, and the chancellor with the Minnesota state system selected me to be the president, so I felt it was a good fit.
Were you happily surprised when you started feeling your way around the community and the college?
Oh yeah, very much so. Rochester is a great community. I think what we found, my wife and I moving here, that it's a very welcoming community, a community with a lot of pride, with the Destination Medical Center and all the growth that's going on here. I think it's a place that is on the rise. I mean, it's always been, because again, you have the Mayo Clinic, and so that's a world-renowned clinic. Everyone knows about Mayo. But I think what people don't realize is that just how they're doing all that work in the downtown, I think great community leaders, great partners that have just a lot of pride in what's going on in Rochester. So I found that very attractive, and also find it very welcoming that everyone in the community seems to really, many people I talk to, they graduated or their kids have graduated from RCTC. So I think there's a lot of history here, a lot of pride here, and I think that was very attractive and a good reason to come to Rochester.
Have you seen anything in your first look that you think should be changed?
Well, no, I don't look necessarily at change. I think all the community colleges are obviously, dealing with declining enrollments all across the country. So if I were to think of what would need to be changed, I just think we got to think about ways to do what we do. We do good things, but how can we do those better? I mean, I think I also believe, excellence is the unlimited ability to improve the quality of what you have to offer. So although we're doing good things, I think there's always room to improve in how we serve students, how we reach out to the community, how we learn to move our programs to be kind of what, say, 21st century programs, meaning accelerated, more options for adults. So there's many things, again, nothing that is written in stone at this point, but I think there's always opportunity to become more excellent and better in what you do.
The relationship with the business community and RCT is very good.
Yes.
And you find that helpful?
Oh, very helpful. I went just last week to cruising with local leaders with the chamber. Found that as a very good experience. I got to meet some people I had not met. Some people, reestablishing some relationships, some people that I had met before. But I thought that really just gave me a good insight. Again, a lot of pride in what goes on here in Rochester. And I thought an opportunity to meet with some of those leaders, find out, took many cards, exchanged emails back and forth already. So I think that's very helpful when you have a chamber that understands what they're doing, and then also the local other business and industry leaders that are very much, they're sold on Rochester. So I think that has been very helpful.
And the business of being able to be flexible in what you offer in order to help the business community is really important.
Yeah, I think, as a community college, that is one of the charges of the community college is, that's why it's community college. You want to be responsive to community needs, and especially with the growth of business and industry here. Again, I keep mentioning Destination Medical Center. The businesses that come in town want to make sure they can have a skilled and trained workforce. So I think as a community college, it's also very important for us to be responsive to that and to try to find ways that we can help the employers train their people, attract new folks to come to the community that are looking for employment. So yeah, I think we have to be responsive and innovative in our approach and how we can meet the needs of business and industry and what the local community asks for.
We used to have a training school series of institutions along with community colleges. If you wanted to take plumbing or electrical engineering or something that was more a trade than an academic pursuit. And people are saying we should really go back to that because we need more trained electricians and more trained plumbers. And what do you think?
Well, as a former career and tech dean, so career and technical education dean, I always say that it's really even when you go to school for any degree, it's all career and tech education at the end of the day. And I like to emphasize education because you don't want a plumber that doesn't get educated on what the best new methods in plumbing is. So I think when you think about, vocational tech or getting people trained, education is still a vital part of that. I think you still want to get people the cognitive knowledge to understand why they need to plumb, if it's a new, plumbing, why you need to fit certain pipes in certain ways, or there are new ways to do that. So I think you have to have the cognitive knowledge, and then you also have to have the knowledge of now psychomotor. So now how do I do it having this knowledge? How do I put that in action by going out and being a plumber that's well informed? So I think sometimes, I think it's sometimes a misnomer to think that you can just have training without education. I think you want and what they talk about in terminology is they want a well-educated workforce. So it's not just learning the skills on how to do it, but you also want the knowledge and why you're doing it and what's the best way to do it. So I think it's very important not to just think of it just as training. It's educational, well-educated, trained workforce, and the fact that they're getting some mental knowledge as well, cognitive knowledge, and how to do their job better.
Mm-hmm. We have a very respected law enforcement program, as you probably know. And if you've had a chance to look at it, it has really been productive in helped us with some very creative and knowledgeable people in our law enforcement. What did you think?
Well, of course, anything with law enforcement, I get a smile on my face, right? Because again, I did have a 9-year career in law enforcement. And so I understand that's very important. Again, I think as you think about with all the things going on in society with law enforcement, you know, good and bad, but I think as far as it still boils down to educating them on what they do. I think it's very important that you know, there's so many scenarios that you can go through in law enforcement. Again, when it's life or death situations, when it's hostage negotiations, when you're dealing with people with mental, you know, mental problems or disabilities, and you think about, you have to be educated on how to deal with these people. So I think it's very important to have, again, a well-trained law enforcement community working with people that are going to be practitioners, but to give them, again, the mental knowledge and the best tools possible to go out and do a very tough job. So I think anything we can do to enhance that, and again, a training with education as a basis, I think is only helpful for those that are out serving us, because again, those are the people that we all depend on when we have to call 911. We hope those folks coming to our doors and coming to our aid are very well mentally, that they're very well trained educationally, and they can do their job in the best possible manner. So I'm all for whatever we can do to help enhance the law enforcement agencies.
Some of our programs are in partnership with Austin and Mankato and some of the other communities around. Would you ever think of bringing the whole program here?
Well, I certainly want to step on any toes, but again, I think about any way that we can expand, and we've had some initial conversations about how we can enhance our program. But again, to work with any way that we can to better serve our community, but then also better to serve our community of law enforcement professionals and those going into the field. So obviously, we'd love to expand in any way we can that's going to help those folks.
Are you familiar with the STEM program yet?
Yes, this science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, yes.
Right. And what do you think about that?
Well, again, it's careers that are going to be there. Again, when we're in a medical area, as far as, again, with the Mayo Clinic, we need scientists. They need people that understand technology. Technology touches every aspect of almost every job now. There's a technical component to it. Again, engineering is another field that is always growing. Again, so you got to have all those technical skills, because that is part of the big skills gap, is that we need to hire more people with those skills. So I think it's very important that we always expand. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is important components, not only to our educational institutions, but also, again, to provide the, as we talked about, the business and industry with an educated workforce. And it's usually in those fields that we're lacking as a country, that we need more people in those fields.
And we have about 5,800 students.
Yes, around that number.
Yeah. What's your ideal size for a community college for this community?
That's a tough question, Jay.
I know.
I get capacity. I mean, you think about, I think at one point we were about 7,400 students, I think. And so now you think right now, I think we're about 4,200 students right now. But I think obviously there's room to grow, but you also want to make sure that you're not growing past what you're able to provide in quality education. We don't want to piecemeal anything. So I don't have an accurate number of what we'd like to see, but I'd also like to serve as many students as possible. And again, that depends on what your facility can hold and all those things, but we still have some room to grow.
What excites you most about this job?
The most exciting thing is to see students go across that stage at the end of the year, because it is a complete package that we get to see them entering in, as myself did many years ago, just wanting the hope of a better life, a better a career opportunity. And so to see students, I think community college especially, we can take people that are in the lower 25 percentile economically and put them in that upper 25 percentile economically. We can help people gain family supporting wages, that they can actually take care of their family, gain a profession, and do things that, again, maybe they never thought themselves of doing, maybe no one else in their family has ever done. So what excites me is that we can take people like myself, who went on to be the first college graduate of my family, and to think I can work for a career to get all the way to a college president, starting with a community college education degree. That's exciting. And many other people that have great stories that have started at a community college and gone on to great professional careers. So I think, again, you can start at a community college and from here go anywhere. And I think that means if you're going to go on to a 4-year school or university, go on to a master's degree, doctorate degree, do all kinds of great work. So I think it's just great to see students, again, that come in maybe in that lower 25 percentile, people that other people may have written off that they weren't going to amount to anything, that we can take them because of outstanding faculty and staff, and that we give them all the wraparound services to help them be successful. That still excites me every time I come to work every day, every student that I interact with, and to see that they're looking to us to help them reach their educational dreams. That still excites me every day.
When you look at Minnesota, with its many colleges at different levels, it's state universities, it's University of Minnesota, are we overbuilt?
Well, no. I mean, I think, again, for what the state and what the nation needs, I don't think so. I still think there's room to grow, and especially for those that are going to attend community colleges. I think as classes open up, almost 50% of all freshmen start at community colleges. So I think if you think about that most people that start their college career started at community college as freshmen. So I don't know how you can overbuild that. I'd like to see 100%, but obviously then you'd have to talk about what happens with the state universities and colleges. But I think from a community college standpoint, I think we're perfectly placed. I think, the original reasons for starting community colleges is still valid, open access, that we're giving people an opportunity to get into higher education and then to better their lives. I think that's still one of the great innovations of the 20th century is community colleges.
We had a governor some years ago who wanted a higher education institute of learning within driving distance of every person in the state of Minnesota. So it's kind of where it started its growth. And then they started weeding out some of the vocational activities. And we are where we are today, but still fighting for resources. Mm-hmm. You've got strong community support here. And the question is, will we be able to get resources from the state level to help us grow?
Yeah. And, unfortunately, again, that is a nationwide problem. And I guess I hate to think that that we have to keep struggling with that because you hear on one end, business and industry saying we need a trained and skilled workforce. And at the other end, we're struggling as community colleges to get the state resources to help us, fulfill our mission. But I think if you look at the balancing act, we're going to only be able to do that because equipment costs money as things break down. It costs money, to repair or replace equipment. You think about, again, as technology and stuff are changing, that we have to change with it. So that means what worked, the original personal computers that were, in the 80s doesn't work today, right? So everything has changed, the technology, the software. So I think in order for us to keep up with that, funding is always going to be important. But then again, I understand there's only so much to go around. So I think, if we're talking about how do we keep a strong, economy, keep strong society, keep our America used to be the most educated nation in the world. We're no longer that. I think we're now down to the 13th, 14th in the world. And so that didn't used to be our story. So have our priorities shifted? Should we shift them back? And if we're really going to do that, I think you have to start with the basis of having an educated workforce. And again, I'm going to keep saying, I think community colleges get the best bang for your buck.
The other thing about the state is that we have the agricultural economy and we have the technology industrial economy. And how do we bring that together in a community college?
Well, I think, again, it all goes back down to, even for folks in the agricultural community, there's still an education behind that. There's plant science, there's food science, there's, everything to, how do you now with all the, you talk about organic growing. And so I think all that still has a strong educational component with the technology. I just think, where do you house it at? Who can give you the most return on your investment? So I still think that, again, we kind of look back that we have to balance that. Yeah, I think agriculture, again, there is a component of that is educational, if you will. And as those things continue to change, they're doing things today, even in agriculture on farms, that they weren't doing 30, 40 years ago. And so I think as those things change, that's what I think that's what calls for a well-educated workforce. I think we still can help, bridge that gap where those things are missing. So I think, the agriculture, the technology, how do you say which dollars should go where? I don't know if I have an answer to that, but I think, again, the education is at the basis of all that. I think that's the solid foundation, is to educate people how to do their job better.
We want to give you a chance to talk to the viewers and tell the people who are watching this program what they can do to help you do a better job. So be our guest.
You put me on the spot here, Jane. Well, again, I thank you for watching, and what you can do. One is, obviously, I think send your students here, send your kids here, and if you're an adult that has gone on and hasn't quite completed that degree you always wanted to do, I still think we're the place for you as well. And also your support in our, whether you're able to support our foundation, if you're able to support our educational programs with donations, but also just support us with your, again, attending our sporting events, and just help bring people on our campuses, because we do believe that we are, again, we've been here since 1915. We think we are a mainstay in this community, and we're here to help, again, people go from here anywhere and to better their lives, and I think we still do a good job of that.
Among problems that students face is the problem of housing. And that's one of the big issues for our whole community right now, is affordable housing for families of students and students themselves. Have you got anything to suggest as an answer to this problem?
No, I don't. I mean, I think that again, it's a matter of land, I guess, where you want to build. I know the downtown area is trying to get more housing, because I think that's important in attracting talent as far as to work in our jobs, that you got to have affordable housing. And so I know that's part of the talk as we were went with that cruise with local leaders. We had kind of a breakout session, and we talked about some of the housing concerns and the price of housing and how you can start young families to be able to afford a house. And I think the numbers where a young family of 3 needs like $55,000 a year to be able to purchase a home. And so I think those are always going to be concerns, because it is a great community, but I think at the same time, those are some challenges that, again, I don't have the answer to. That's not my area of expertise, but certainly to know that in order to attract good folks in the community that are going to be able to work and fill some of those jobs in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, I mean, you got to have affordable housing.
I know that's a nationwide problem, and cities all over the country are struggling with how they can make affordable housing profitable for developers as well as affordable for people. But have you thought about dormitories here at RCTC, which would at least help the students with affordable housing?
There's been some conversations about that. I think in the preliminary stages, however. Again, only been here for a little more than a month or so. So I haven't really got again, we've talked about it a little bit, understanding that is an issue and a concern. But again, we want to make sure that we're able, it's not an investment that we can get in, and we don't want to make the situation worse for our students. And so, but we are in early conversations, at least for myself, and talking about the possibility of that. And again, we do have students. We have about, I think, over 100 students that stay in housing that are coming from out of the area to attend RCTC. And so we do want to, we're mindful of that, and we want to find the best solution possible, but it's way too early to say that we're going to have anything with dormitories or anything like that.
And tell us about your interests. I mean, what music, arts, corrections, of course, is a natural interest for you, and we have, of course, oversight committees for the corrections department and civil service commissions, and a lot of places where you can expand your reach in terms of the community. Tell our viewers a little about your personal interests.
Well, my personal interests are obviously, I'm a big family person. Have a large family with 5 sons. None live with us. We have 4 grandchildren. So I think, finding out that I'm still a parent, although my kids are grown from 22 to 34. And now being a grandfather, I find another kind of responsibility. I always said I never want to be a buster grandpa. I want to be a person that my grandkids can be proud of and that I can help them, decide on their lives as far as educationally and moving forward in their lives. And then, outside of that, I'm involved in church activities. I love history. I love Bible reading. I love jazz music, actually. So I'm a big jazz music type of guy. I love spending time outdoors and viewing nature. Took a walk yesterday with my wife through some of the mini trails here and saw a little Bambi deer running around. That excites me to see nature and to see how the creation of the world and the things that are made really interests me as well, and the stars and all those type of things. So I find a lot of interest. And as far as in the community stuff, involved in several things already with Cradle to Career, an organization that's local here, and very much interested in how we get students from secondary to post-secondary education, and how we can help those that are maybe not academically look like they'll be successful now. So I think I'm very excited about helping with programs that are going to help students that are in that, again, lower 25 percentile get to that upper 25 percentile. So those type of things excite me. And again, just to be a great mentor, to meet students that are, again, a lot of times students of color that don't have a dad at home maybe. That always is something that interests me, to reach out to young men and women that are looking for guidance. And so when you can make those connections and help them know that somebody cares about them and can help guide them down the path. I adopt new kids every day is kind of the way I look at that. So that really interests me.
Do you play an instrument?
I do not. I sing in the shower, however.
Oh, good, that's good. But I think sometimes we're too quick to say that if they're academically not ready, because we have first-class people coming to RCTC, and we want to encourage people to do that and to look at it not in competition with something else, but because it's a good place to go, don't you think?
Yeah, I believe that all the way. We do have many bright students. I mean, last year we sent a student that's going to be going to Yale, so we have very bright students. And so I don't say that anyway for students that are just not academically prepared. We have many students that are well academically prepared. And I think it's just community colleges are a smart choice for families.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, for myself, I have 5 sons, 4 that completed degrees, and all of my sons started out at community college. I was very pleased that I got an extra year or 2 with my kids, because when they grow up, anyone that's had children
I know it.
Once they're gone, they're gone. And to think that I can help, I don't know how many 18-year-olds are really ready to go out on their own and deal with all the challenges and, even expanded peer pressure of being 18 on your own in college. I don't know, again, not speaking against that, but I also think there's value in those couple extra more years of maturity that you get to stay home, and as a dad that I get to spend those couple extra moments in time with my kids. That's very important to me too. So yeah, we have very many students that are well academically prepared, but I think it's a smart choice for families. I think that families, again, some families are just ready to write that check and send them off to August for that $40,000 or $50,000 check, and yet at the same time you can get the same education. I always say English 100 is English 100 whether you take it here or at Yale. It's the same outcomes, same sometimes qualified faculty. So if you can save those dollars and it's the same quality, why wouldn't you send a kid to a community college? There's plenty of time when they get, so they'll be 20 now and have 2 years, away from home, I think. So I just think it's really important. I find a lot of value, and I'm glad you brought that up. No, it's not just students that aren't academically ready. There are many students that are academically ready and prepared, but this is still a smart choice for them, because there's still, I don't know how many people were totally mature at 18. I wasn't, right? So, and I think a lot of times, and I found friends that have said they wish they would have sent their kid to a community college first, because they weren't quite ready for the peer pressure and the other things that come along with going away from home at 18.
Do you know that this half hour has flown by? It's been a wonderful interview. We welcome you to the community. We'll be here for you if there's something we can do to help you or our viewers. And Dr. Jeffery Boyd, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jane.
Good. Thank you, our viewers, for your interest in education, in RCTC, and in general this program. We'll be with you next week, same time, same channel. In the meantime, have a good week and have a very good night.